Well, today is a virtual press day for a fantastic film. I'm really excited about this. It's called Reuniting. It stars Jesse L. Martin and a wonderful cast and crew, and just a great group of people that we're here uh, with Laura Brownin, Roger, and David James Lewis, all here. Thank you all for your time. This is a lot of fun. This is the most I've had in a group setting in separate Zooms. So this will be fun. Thank you all for your time and
You're welcome.
congratulations on a great project.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Thank you.
yeah, so I just was told Michelle will not be able to make it, but that's okay. I get it. We'll get her later. And of course, Jesse will join us later too. Well, let's talk about this because this is due to premiere very soon here in just a couple days in theaters across the country.
Mhm.
And this is a really cool project. Now, each of you have done amazing things in your own right. For sure, Michelle, of course, The Flash, that's what she's known for. But again, I mean, just Planet of the Apes, Child's Play, Firefly Lane, all projects we've covered in the past. Laura, we'll start with you. This is
Okay.
exciting. As a storyteller, you get the opportunity to play different characters and do different things. But of course, there's that part where there's the journey of booking the role and then the journey of filming it.
Mhm.
Sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're different. It just depends, I think. But for you, Laura, do you
Mhm.
find when you're creating a story like this that it's two separate journeys, or really it all is combined into one long journey from the time you get the audition to when you book it to when you film it and now it's available for people to see?
Yeah. I mean, as the director, I think my journey is much different than the actors, right? This has been with me for 5 years now, almost. I started writing the film in 2019. So yeah, it just feels like one long thing on honestly. Lots of different parts of it, of course, from, the writing part is very solitary. It was just me in my room with my coffee and my laptop, and voices inside my head. And then, then we get to actually cast actors, which is very exciting because that's when the voices come out of my head and into other people, which is an amazing part of it. And then filming is its own thing as well, and then the post production. So it's like a long, big journey with like different kind of cool chapters that all feel very different.
Yeah, I that would make sense. I mean, for you, it's different because the journey for
Hmm.
you obviously begins much further on, before you even have the ability to cast these great folks here, and then convincing them to take it for whatever that might look like, all the negotiations and everything, and then of course actually getting it filmed and that sort of thing. I think that part is fascinating for people, and it took me a while to learned that as I began this journey doing this, is that,
Mm.
I watch a movie now. I take my 9-year-old to see Garfield, but finding out that it's been in progress for over 2.5 years before, I mean, almost like kind of in the pandemic era a little bit when this all started. So it's interesting. Brownon, with you, of course, you've done great, wonderful things. Of course, just like your co-stars here, of course, most recognizably a few things, but Firefly Lane for sure. We had the privilege of chatting with the younger cast versions of yourselves a couple years ago. So that was a great journey there. But this is a fun project too. In the similar vein, I want to ask you for yourself when you're looking at projects, whether you're auditioning or there are offers that come straight to you, what are maybe like one or two things that are important to you when it comes to storytelling and deciding to commit your time as an actor to a project like this?
Well, I guess it depends where I'm at with things. Sometimes it's just like, give me the job, quite
Yeah, I
honestly.
need to pay my
I
rent or whatever. Yeah.
exactly, right? Like I'm not going to pretend that it isn't like that sometimes where it's nice to feel those moments where you do feel like you have a choice between different projects. And what ultimately will win is a story that I can get behind and that I believe in, and that gives me an opportunity to do something new. That's always really compelling and exciting. But when Laura approached me and said she thought, I think I'm writing a part for you, I just said, go, stop talking, keep writing, go, go. And I'm so glad that she did.
Yeah. Well, again, and I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but this is a great story. It's filmed in Bowen Island, BC, and it's a story about six best friends from college who reconnect after their 25-year reunion. And there's a lot of themes in this, which I really like. You know, you've got friends, family, connections, seeing how people have changed, what's different. Having gone to my most recent 20-year reunion, it's a shocking thing to come across people, because there was a part of me deep inside that goes, man, I really don't want to see some of these people because we did not get along in high school, and that was 20 some years ago. Why are you requesting me on Facebook now? It's just kind of like, that's how I feel sometimes. But I jest a little bit. But it's a great story, and I think when people get a chance to watch it, if they haven't already, will quite enjoy it. Roger, yourself again, you've done some really cool projects. You are part of that world of, War for the Planet of the Apes, and you've done other cool things too. This film in particular, though, is quite different than what you've done in the past. Um, the same question I would ask you, maybe, Roger, in a different way. When you play these different roles and you go from like character to character, um, is there a process for you? Do you get into character, or do you simply just look at it and digest it and act wonderfully like you do in everything else? Some people I talk to, getting into character just eludes them. They've never experienced it. It's just kind of like they're good actors like yourself and you just do it. So, for a story like this, how did that process work for you, internalizing this and figuring out which way you were going to go about it?
For me, this whole getting into character is basically just the work of studying your script and being prepared and getting ready to perform and be, tell this person's story is the way I've always looked at it. It's not my story, it's this character's story, and that's my job to tell that story. And the whole getting into character, it's you do that and of course, we're trying to artificially create something that will appear real to people, and in a sense, you have to get into character. But I'm definitely not method, and I'm definitely not stomping around doing my thing and living it 24/7. I am more do the work, get ready, get prepared before the scene, action, get into character, do the job, and then step back. Some things are tougher to step away from when you're done because whether it's real or not, because you've gone on that journey, you go on that journey. And so there's things where if something I've played different characters who have been maybe a little more sociopathic or crazy or done some horrible things, you know what I mean? And that,
Well,
that,
that's
that
not
does
who you
hang
are as
with
a
you a little
person,
bit,
obviously. Yeah.
yeah. And so, this was a much more pleasant experience. This was a wonderful character who didn't have to go to dark places. In a sense, he, unburned himself in the movie. And so it was more of that. And so that was, in a sense, cathartic in that sense. So as I said, every character is different, every role is different. If you have time to run around laps around stuff before you go shoot and do it, great. If you don't have time to it when you're in TV, for example, 12-hour days, you got to get stuff done, you get it done. And so it was this was a great experience. We stayed together for the time we shot this. Rumi here, me and David. Right. And we were there, and it literally was a bit of a reunion because Michelle and I go back forever. I mean, she stayed with me in LA like 30, 20 odd years ago. I'm dating ourselves, but so it was a bit of a reunion. David have been around forever, and we've just funny enough, we did a movie just before this was the first time we actually worked together.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was kind of it was very, you know, serendipitous and very it was pretty cool to see everyone and be around everyone and all these great people that you loved and respected.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I always love hearing those stories. And it just shows you too, like the world that you're in is so small, but yet so big.
Yeah.
Like, be kind, I think, is always a good rule because you never know who you're going to wind up working for or with next. And I've heard some interesting stories to say the least.
Yes.
David James, my goodness, where do I start? I mean, Child's Play. I mean, there's just so many fun things you've done. This is clearly a different, markable role for you. Um, I would just like to ask a fun question here. This story focuses in and around a group of college friends that reconnect after a 25-year reunion. So, for you, have you been to reunions since you've become an actor and gotten into the business? And, uh, you know, do you have any fond memories of anything like that? Or are you like me that when you got out of school, wherever or however that may have been, you were just happy to be done and not necessarily wanting to look back and relive those moments? Or
I
maybe you
mean,
use them
I'm
for a story like this. I don't know.
yeah, I'm waiting for my 10-year reunion. It's coming up soon. Why is everyone laughing? Also, Bronwyn, your hair is looking good today. You've got some body in your hair today. It's
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, Bronwyn, yeah, it's looking sharp. Yeah.
Um, it's funny, a couple of my reunions, I was out of the country. I was in Thailand for one of them, and then I think I was in maybe Greece for another one. It sort of just was coincidental, but I did just go to one a couple of years ago, and I was really nervous to go. I was like, I was pretty nervous, but turns out, I guess, because of being an actor and kind of being vain and taking care of yourself and the whole bit, I look pretty good, but I mean, I don't know. But I was nervous to go because but seeing these people across the room and all of these memories flooding in and going, oh yes, I remember, I didn't know everyone's name, but just it's very surreal to see, because I had really strong memories of high school. I had a really great time in high school. I took drama and all that sort of stuff. So I really enjoyed high school. But I picture these people still being 17 years old. So it's kind of trippy to go back and see people getting older and stuff. But I had a really good time at my reunion. It was a lot of fun.
I love it. Yes. Well, again, Roger, Bronwyn, David, Laura, this is great. I can't wait for people to see this. It's just, I think, as I mentioned early on, there are a lot of things that you take on in this story. Laura, we'll just start with you. One last question for the group. We'll round robin again.
Right.
If there is maybe one or two things, uh, of course they say, right, what you know, what you experience. Is there maybe a message that you want viewers to take on, Laura, when they watch? Whether it's something that can change them, make them better, because again, there's a lot happening in this story.
Yeah, that write what you know thing is always so funny to me, because I feel like if I only wrote the things that I experienced, my stories would be incredibly boring. But for me, it's less about write what you know and write what you want to explore. Write about the things that are interesting to you or scare you or whatever. And there's a lot of themes in this movie about getting older and reassessing your life and wondering, did you do what you wanted to do? And these are all things that that I was thinking about and curious about, and my own mortality, and my mom getting older, and like everything happening is what I wanted to explore. So that's why I wrote this movie, because I thought those friendships are really interesting. And so for me, really, it's about like giving yourself a bit of a gut check. Like that's what I want. I want people to leave the theater going like, am I doing the things that I want to do? Am I living my life the way that I wanted to be? Would 20-year-old me be happy with where I am now? It's not necessarily, look, my life dream was to marry Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys. Okay. So I'm okay that didn't happen. But but I do think that, like, 18-year-old Laura would be happy with where I'm at right now. I think so. So that's what I want people to get out of the film. I want them to leave and think about that.
Collin, how about you?
Well, she said everything, but no,
Yeah.
further to that theme, I guess, is it's not too late. And I think that I've been talking to friends recently about that sense a few years back where it was the nesting years and sort of like getting cozy and wanting to have your home really lovely and nice and family and friends over. And I feel in some ways like I'm getting into the years where it's like, and preparing for death, like thinking about wills, like I'm nesting for death. And I don't want to have that be my next marker in life. There's still a lot to live, and it's not too late.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I find myself, I'm turning 50 this year and just thinking about all those things, leaving a legacy for my kid and not just, and I think what I do is that for him. It's a time capsule. So hopefully good memories. Roger, how about you? And then David will wrap with you.
One of the things is perception. We look at people, and from the outside, you see these people like my character. They look like, oh my God, the world's their oyster, everything's perfect, and you don't know what people are going through on the inside and in their personal life and behind closed doors. And so sometimes, if you see someone, even if they look great, if they're struggling a little bit, don't belittle it in a sense. Everyone's burden is the greatest, yes. And some people have less issues than others, but it's that whole idea that, it's not always as it appears. As we know, we see it every day online. You see these people with these grand lifestyle, yes, yeah. Next thing they've committed suicide or something. You're like, what happened there? You know what I mean? It's like you just don't know. So, check in on people you care about, no matter how great they look, and take care of each other.
Yeah, that's very true, especially recently in the news. Just it's been
Yeah.
terrible. David, for you, if as people watch this and get to know you better as an actor and storyteller and your character, for you, is there something that's important to you that you want viewers to take in and to grasp onto? All of these are great, by the way, which I felt all of the emotions and then some when I had a chance to screen it. So
Yeah, first of all, I'm going to start a metal band and it's going to be called Nesting for Death. So I'm just using that, an aging metal band.
Band name, called it.
Called it. This movie is surprisingly deep. It tackles some really big issues. You don't want to get into spoilers and all that sort of stuff. But I think if people are like, oh, I don't know what this movie, like, just trust us. This is a really good movie, and I think that there's a lot of feels that will happen if you watch this movie. For me, this movie was about friendship. I don't have I've got, like, I think only one friend left over from high school. The older I've gotten, I've sort of gotten friends from different jobs that I've worked in, and now that I'm a little older in life, probably my main friendships I probably have grown in the last 15 years. So seeing these people that were friends for so long, and you don't pick your family, you pick your friends, right? And just sort of seeing how they all get along now that they have all of these, life gets in the way. Boy, you're young, you just think you're going to live forever, and it doesn't matter what's going on, it's just you're having fun, everything, and then life kind of gets in the way, and it's really interesting how that affects friendships. This movie for me was a lot about friendships, and I got to work with my friends for a couple of weeks. That was really, 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 really cool.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. Well, again, if I didn't mention it before, this is a great film. Reuniting is having its U.S. theatrical premiere starting May 31st at Look Cinemas across the country, New York, LA, Texas and more. And of course, it premiered at the film festival in Texas. I can't wait for people to see this. And if you are an advocate of seeing things in theaters and you're where one of these theaters is, please go and watch. Buy your ticket, cast your vote to
We
get
have
a
one ticket left for our LA premiere. So people are buying tickets, they're coming out. It's like it's gonna be
Nice.
great. We're
yeah,
really
it's very
excited.
exciting. I wish I could be there on the red carpet, but congratulations to all of you. It's
Thank
been an
you.
honor. Thank you for adjusting your schedules and your time and all the time zones. I'm in Colorado of all places, so it's really weird. But thank you all, and I've enjoyed watching your work, other things you've done, and this one is definitely on the top. Thank you all for your time,
Oh, thank you so
and
Thank
much.
you guys
you.
have a great rest
Thanks
of your
for having
day.
us.
Great.
Absolutely, it's been my pleasure.
Awesome.